to Lesson 21. In this lesson, we are finally back on to verbs, and we're going to look at the second conjugation. Our phrase is sedet ad dexteram. He sits at the right hand. Since we haven't looked at verbs for a while, we'll do a little bit of review. So far, we've only learned about first conjugation verbs and regular ones, which means that they're conjugated according to regular pattern, and one irregular verb, esse to be, which, as you learned, is irregular in every language. We've looked at verbs in the present tense, which means that the action is taking place now. We've learned that in English, the present tense can be indicated by one of three forms: simple present tense, and an example is Christ sanctifies the church; present progressive, Christ is sanctifying the church; present emphatic, Christ does sanctify the church. They're all forms of the present tense, slightly different meanings in English. In Latin, there's only one verb form that's used for these three slightly different meanings. When translating from Latin to English, the context will help you decide which English form is the most appropriate to use. When translating from English to Latin, we don't add those extra words such as is or does. We just give the correct form of the Latin verb according to who or what is performing the action. Now, on to the second conjugation. By now you should be fairly comfortable with conjugating verbs of the first conjugation, and those are the ones, remember, that end with are in the infinitive form. The second conjugation verbs end in ere in the infinitive, and they're the ones that have the emphasis on the second last syllable. You'll see when you learn about third conjugation verbs that they also end in ere, but they're pronounced with a different emphasis. There's another way to distinguish between second and third conjugation verbs, and that is to look at the first person singular. The second conjugation will show the letter E before the ending, such as sedeo or fleo. But a third conjugation verb won't. It simply has o, such as pono, from ponere. So let's see how one of these verbs is conjugated. You'll see the personal pronoun endings with which you're already familiar, but this time they're preceded by the letter E instead of the letter A, as with the first conjugation verbs. So you can see here o, se, te, mus, tis, nt, and preceded by the E, and that gives us sedeo, sedes, sedet, sedemus, sedetis, sedent. I sit, thou sittest, he, she, or it sits, we sit, you sit, they sit. Okay, on to your vocabulary now. Sedere, to sit; flere, to cry for or weep; contenere, to contain. They're three second conjugation verbs. Vivificare, to revive, first conjugation verb. Misericors, misericordis, merciful. Premium, premii, neuter, reward. Now, homework. Exercises in your text at the end of the lesson. Some supplementary exercises if you'd like to do a bit more work. And your drill schedule with the second conjugation added, so you can start conjugating a new conjugation, as well as some review of your old first conjugation verbs. That's it from me. Goodbye and God bless.